Mr. Poopy Butthole was supposed to be a joke, a ridiculous character with a ridiculous name who shows up, gets shot by Beth, and disappears into cartoon obscurity. Instead, he became the most tragic character in Rick and Morty history. While Rick destroys universes and walks away laughing, this harmless little guy gets one bullet to the stomach and loses everything: his health, his career, his family, his will to live. 5 seasons of consequences for one mistake Beth never even apologized for. Let's walk through every single thing that went wrong, starting with the moment Beth pulled the trigger in Total Rickall. Season 2's Total Rickall introduces the problem: parasitic aliens that implant fake memories and disguise themselves as beloved family friends. The only way to identify them? Real people have bad memories together. Parasites can only create good ones. So the family's locked in the house, surrounded by dozens of wacky characters, trying to figure out who's real. Beth's running on pure paranoia and a loaded gun. Enter Mr. Poopy Butthole. Tiny, polite, cheerful, wearing a little top hat. He's been in the episode the whole time, helping out, being supportive, doing absolutely nothing suspicious. The problem? Nobody has a bad memory of him, which, in Beth's mind, makes him a parasite. So she pulls out a gun and shoots him in the stomach. Point blank. No hesitation. Here's where most shows would hit the reset button. The character would be a parasite. Beth would be vindicated and we'd all move on. But the music shifts. The comedy stops. Because Mr. Poopy Butthole is real. He's always been real. And now he's bleeding out on the floor while the family stands there in collective horrified silence, experiencing what the fanbase would later describe as emotional whiplash. Beth's reaction? Calling an ambulance while repeating, "Oh my God," like that's going to undo the bullet. Rick tries to console her by casually mentioning he made a similar mistake years ago, but on a planetary scale.
Beth, don't torture yourself. I made a similar mistake years ago, but, on a planetary scale.
Which is his version of emotional support. And Mr. Poopy Butthole? He's the one apologizing while bleeding. He tells Rick to tell Beth he's not mad, that he's sorry she doesn't have any bad memories of him left. He tells her if she loves him, she should leave. Then he's loaded into an ambulance and the episode ends. Most people assumed this was a one-off gag, a dark joke the show would forget about by next season. They were wrong. This was the beginning of a 5-season trauma arc that would systematically destroy every aspect of Mr. Poopy Butthole's life. And it starts with recovery. The post-credit scene of Total Rickall could have been a quick gag. Instead, it's the first indicator that this show isn't letting Mr. Poopy Butthole off easy. We see him months later, still in recovery, struggling through physical therapy. He's living alone in a small apartment, surrounded by cats because apparently getting shot makes you a cat person. He orders pizza, makes small talk with the delivery guy about the season finale.
I got a large pepperoni and some crazy sticks.
Hey, what'd you think of that finale, huh?
And casually mentions he got married, had a baby, went back to school, and got his GED while waiting for season 3. On the surface, it sounds like progress. But there's something off about the way he says it. The cheerful tone doesn't match the reality. He's alone in that apartment, no wife visible, no baby, just him, some cats, and a lot of time to think about the fact that Beth shot him and the family just moved on. He asks the pizza guy what he did while waiting for the new season, then adds, "Hopefully you didn't just fuck around and waste your life." It's framed as a joke to the audience, but it's also Mr. Poopy Butthole recognizing his own stagnation. He's recovered physically. Mentally? That's a different story. By season 3, the cracks are starting to show. We learn through later references that he managed to land a job teaching at a university, something that should have been a fresh start. But Rick, being Rick, decided Mr. Poopy Butthole needed to learn karate for some emergency that required his help. This all happens in season 4's One Crew Over the Cuckoo's Morty, where Rick recruits him for a heist. How do you train someone in martial arts quickly? You hire their own graduate students to attack them. Mr. Poopy Butthole successfully defends himself, which is great. The problem? All those students end up in the hospital. And when your grad students are hospitalized because your friend hired them to jump you, the university tends to frown on that. He loses the job. Rick's response? Yeah, sorry about that. Not an apology with any weight behind it, just a casual acknowledgement that he ruined another piece of Mr. Poopy Butthole's life and moved on without consequence. And this is where the isolation begins. He stops telling Amy, his wife, how he's really feeling. By the season 5 finale Rick Marai Jack, he admits in a devastating post-credits monologue that he wanted her to love who she thought he was, not who he was becoming. Classic self-sabotage, the kind where you destroy your own relationships because you're convinced you're already broken. By season 7's premiere episode, How Poopy Got His Poop Back, Mr. Poopy Butthole isn't just struggling. He's completely fallen apart. Amy's gone. Poopy Jr.'s gone. The job's gone. And where does he end up? Crashing on the Smith's couch. the same family whose matriarch shot him in the first place. He's been there for months, and the family, predictably, wants him gone. But nobody has the spine to actually say it, because he's their friend. Except he's not really their friend. He's their guilt. The episode opens with him trying to hang himself from a ceiling fan. Not as a joke, not as a bit. Actual suicide attempt. He's asking someone to boost him up so he can hook his belt to the fan, casually describing himself as a piece of garbage, while explaining that things have taken another turn for the worst. This is what 5 seasons of consequences look like in a show that usually resets everything by next episode. Rick, being the emotionally unavailable genius he is, decides the solution is an intervention. But this is Rick, so it's not a normal intervention. It involves drugs. It involves hiring an actual predator, the 7-foot-tall intergalactic trophy hunter kind, to stalk Amy as part of some deranged plan to help Mr. Poopybutthole move on. There's a fight scene. There's chaos. It's exactly the kind of unhinged solution you'd expect from someone who destroyed an entire planet and shrugged it off. But here's the thing that makes this hurt. Rick actually shows up. For all his nihilism and casual cruelty, when Mr. Poopybutthole is genuinely at the end of his rope, Rick puts his own chaos on hold and tries to help. It's one of the rare moments where Rick demonstrates he actually cares about someone. Not enough to prevent the damage in the first place, but enough to intervene when things hit rock bottom. The intervention doesn't go well. Mr. Poopybutthole admits what he really wants: Amy back. He still loves her. He's convinced himself that if he can just talk to her, explain himself, maybe things can go back to normal. So, they track her down. And that's when he discovers she's moved on. Completely. She's remarried to the Goa clan leader of the Skin Thieves, which is exactly as weird as it sounds. She's built a whole new family with Poopy Jr. and this alien warlord. When Mr. Poopybutthole tries to talk to her, she's polite but firm. She's done. She's not coming back. He tries to kidnap her. It goes about as well as you'd expect. Amy points out, correctly, that kidnapping is not the foundation of a healthy reconciliation. Mr. Poopybutthole realizes he's hit a new low. Even his most desperate plan is just more self-destruction, so he backs off, apologizes, and watches her leave with her new family. And that's it. No dramatic reconciliation. No Hollywood ending where love conquers all. Just a guy watching his ex-wife walk away while he's left standing there with nothing. After the intervention disaster, you'd think Mr. Poopybutthole would finally catch a break, and on the surface, it looks like he does. The Season 6 finale, Rictional Mortpoon's Rickmas Mortcation, shows him in better shape. Literally. He's been working out with a trainer named Carl, getting toned and boned, as he puts it. He's doing squats, building muscle, seemingly moving forward with his life. Carl's advice? The best way to get over a girl is to get under a 300-pound squat. Inspirational gym bro wisdom delivered with complete sincerity. But here's the uncomfortable truth the show doesn't let you ignore. He's still broken. He admits he might be overcompensating for the emptiness after Amy left. The working out, the new routine, the forced positivity. It's all just another coping mechanism. He's replacing one form of self-destruction with another, slightly healthier one. Someone calls Amy to tell her he needs her, that he loves her.
Someone call Amy, tell her I need her, tell her I love her.
Her response? She blocked his number.
Not my phone. She blocked me. Use yours.
So they try someone else's phone. Mr. Poopybutthole steals a portal gun. He pulls what he calls the old switcheroo, swapping places with a dimensional counterpart. It's implied this isn't the first time. He's been running from himself, literally jumping dimensions to escape his problems. Amy even recognizes the replacement as fake, which means this has happened before. He's stuck in a cycle. Try to fix things, fail, run away, repeat. The show that usually treats dimensional travel as a cosmic joke is using it here to illustrate genuine escapism and self-sabotage. One more thing worth mentioning. Mr. Poopybutthole occasionally says,
Ooh-wee.
His signature catchphrase. Harmless, right? Except the show has established that this kind of verbal tick sometimes masks deeper pain. Rick's wubba lubba dub dub translates to, I am in great pain, please help me, in bird person's language.
It means, I am in great pain, please help me.
It's a cry for help hidden behind a joke. Mr. Poopybuthole's constant cheerfulness, his ooh-wee, his positive attitude, it's all covering the same thing. He's drowning, and he's been drowning since Season 2. The difference is nobody's listening. Here's what makes Mr. Poopybuthole's arc so brutal. He's the only character in Rick and Morty who faces permanent consequences in a show that actively mocks the concept of consequences. Rick destroys entire realities and moves on. Morty's been traumatized dozens of times and keeps showing up for more adventures. Beth shot a family friend and went to therapy for like 2 episodes before forgetting about it. But Mr. Poopybutthole, he stayed broken. 5 seasons of decline triggered by one moment of paranoia and a load loaded gun. He represents something the show rarely acknowledges: the collateral damage of existing near the Smiths. He's not a genius. He's not a nihilist. He's not equipped to handle the chaos that follows this family around. He's just a polite little guy trying to survive in a universe that doesn't make sense. And the moment he got too close to their dysfunction, it destroyed him. The job loss, the failed marriage, the depression, the suicide attempt, all of it traces back to Beth pulling that trigger and nobody taking responsibility for what came after. And maybe that's the point. Rick and Morty is a show about how nothing matters, how consequences are meaningless, how you can always jump to another dimension and start fresh. But Mr. Poopybutthole can't. He's stuck in one dimension, living with the fallout of everyone else's actions, watching the Smiths continue their lives while his falls apart. He's the show's way of asking, what happens to the people who don't get to reset? What happens when the joke has real victims? The show even uses him to break the fourth wall and call out the audience. His post-credit scenes aren't just gags, they're pointed commentary. What did you do while waiting for the next season? Hopefully you didn't just fuck around and waste your life. He's asking us the same questions he's asking himself. He's wondering if any of this matters, if his suffering means anything, if the people watching even care about the consequences, or if we're just here for the jokes. So let's tally the damage. One gunshot wound from Beth Smith in Season 2 led to a near-fatal injury requiring months of physical therapy, the loss of a university teaching position because Rick hired his students to attack him for karate training, the complete deterioration of his marriage to Amy because he stopped communicating and started self-destructing, losing custody and contact with Poopy Jr., his own son, becoming homeless and crashing on the couch of the family whose members shot him in the first place, a suicide attempt involving a ceiling fan and a belt, an intervention so chaotic it involved hiring an intergalactic predator and ended with him trying to kidnap his ex-wife, watching Amy build a new family with an alien warlord while he's left with nothing, and finally, stealing portal guns to swap places with dimensional counterparts because running away is easier than facing what his life has become. That's 5 seasons of consequences. 5 seasons of watching a character slowly lose everything while the show that usually resets by next episode just let it happen. Beth never apologized. The family treated him like an inconvenience. Rick helped once at the absolute breaking point, then went back to his usual chaos. And Mr. Poopybutthole? He's still out there somewhere, probably doing squats with Carl, trying to convince himself he's fine. The worst part? He's genuinely one of the nicest characters in the entire show. He didn't deserve any of this. He was polite, he was helpful, he was supportive even while bleeding out on the floor. His crime was being in the wrong place at the wrong time and having the misfortune of only sharing good memories with a family that sees kindness as suspicion. Beth pulled the trigger, but the whole family let him fall apart afterward. They moved on. He couldn't. In a show about infinite dimensions and meaningless existence, Mr. Poopybutthole is the one character who proves that pain isn't always cosmic and consequences don't always reset. Sometimes you get shot, and your life just ends in slow motion while everyone around you forgets it happened. Sometimes the joke isn't funny. Sometimes it's just tragedy wearing a top hat. From one bullet to complete life collapse, we've tracked every devastating consequence of Beth's worst decision. Think we missed a detail in Mr. Poopybuthole's downward spiral? Drop it in the comments. Hit that like button harder than Beth hit PB with that point-blank shot. And subscribe so you don't miss our next breakdown of the characters who suffer most in shows that pretend nothing matters.